Bendy and the Ink Machine, the game about a CEO trying to bring his creations to life by literally putting his coworkers' souls into their work. This was a game I was interested in due to the Flasher cartoon theming, but was hesitant to purchase since I'm not that into survival horror games. Still, once I saw it was on sale with its sequel, I decided to give it a shot, and in regards to aesthetics, the game did not disappoint. The cel-shaded art style does a really good job at making the workshop feel like it's made out of ink. Everything looks painted on, which gives the game a cartoony atmosphere. But there's enough detail put into the textures and the cracks in the foundation to make the workshop feel like it's in a state of disrepair, which helps keep the atmosphere a bit grounded. The voice acting's also pretty good. It's a little hammy, but each audio log has the characters show enough personality to make them interesting.
The ever-tactless Joey Drew introduces me, the great Bertram Piedmont, as Bertie.
The voice acting definitely helps add a bit of life to the game. The art style and atmosphere get top marks from me, which is more than I could say for the gameplay. The first issue is with the controls. Henry moves very slowly, and the sprint function moves him from slow as molasses to slow as a turtle, which I tolerated at first because, well, it's survival horror. But then we get to the boss fights, whose attack patterns feel like they were designed with the character action game in mind, leading to some cheap deaths because Henry couldn't sprint out of the way in time. But the bigger issue is that the core gameplay loop isn't that interesting and relies heavily on thinly veiled fetch quests. The first chapter's main goal being collect 6 random objects to put on the altar was not a good sign of things to come, but I will be fair and mention the game does try to add new mechanics with each chapter to keep things interesting. Chapter 2 adds more complex puzzles and very simplistic combat mechanics. Chapter 3 adds stealth sections with Bendy and the Projectionist, but also doubles down on the main goal being fetch quests, to the point where you are literally Alice's errand boy. Chapter 4 was the highlight of the game to me, because it made the fetch quests interesting. You had to flip a bunch of switches, but they were locked behind carnival games, stealth sections, and while the boss fights were out of place, I at least appreciate the gameplay variety. I was going to give the game 4 stars, but then Chapter 5 dropped the ball. All that build-up, and the final area is another thinly veiled fetch quest, a final boss that got rid of everything that made Bendy intimidating by turning him into a raging bull, and an ending that puts Henry in a time loop when nothing about the last 4 chapters hinted at time travel being in the plot. I enjoyed my time with Bendy and the Ink Machine, but between the lackluster gameplay and disappointing ending, it's not a game I can comfortably recommend, which unfortunately puts it at 2 stars. Oozing with style, dry on substance.